Hey guys, it is your host here, TT, and as always, I'm excited to be here. And something more exciting is I'm not here by myself. I'm here with Cathy Williams, and I'm so excited that she's here. I'm so thankful for her time. Cathy is a trailblazer in the world of body based healing and creative art therapy. She's also, that's not just it, she's also an award winning author, trainer, and facilitator. Cathy is the founder of Intuitive Self. Her workshops, courses, and one on one session, help individuals connect with their intuitive wisdom, and that is something that we talk about on here, knowing her for, empowering, compassionate approach. Cathy supports women just like me and you to, rekindle our relationship with our bodies, and also to relearn or learn how to listen, trust in, and follow our intuition. And I'm just gonna, give Cathy some time to talk to you guys. Thank you for joining us, Kathy.
Thank you for having me. It's so beautiful to be connected across the globe and
Yeah.
to come together in collaboration for our mission to support women.
Yes. Yes. I'm so big on that because when I look at my own personal experience, it's like this is a world that, you just have to fight for yourself, most especially as a woman. And I try to encourage other women as well because while I'm able to fight for myself, some women are still out there struggling. They don't really have that resources, that environment to encourage them to fight for themselves. And also, I know that a lot of people think that when it comes to, healing, it only has to do with their emotions or their mind. Some people don't actually understand that they also have to heal their body. And
Mm.
I'm so, glad to come across, to like meet you, because that's your that's your expertise, and I really like for you to talk to them about, connecting with your body, how to, where healing comes in when it comes to your bodies.
Fantastic. Um, I love that because, I have that experience. My younger self was very much living in my mind.
Right.
I put my mind and my brain on this pedestal and I was disconnected from my own body.
Yeah.
And I was disconnected from my body because, feeling our feelings, our really
Yes,
uncomfortable feelings, it's a lot. It's a
it
lot,
is.
and it is uncomfortable to be in a state where we're overwhelmed with feeling anxious, feeling stressed,
Mm-hmm.
feeling upset, and needing to release, whether that's through tears or through rage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was quite scared of feeling my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, I would, instead of allowing myself to give those feelings space, I would numb myself, I would distract myself with work, I would keep myself really busy in this overproductive mode,
I can relate.
right? And I think I was doing myself a disservice because every time that I ignored my
Mm-hmm.
feelings, I disconnected a little bit more from my body. And in doing that, I was living solely in my mind and not recognizing that the mind and the body and the heart, they're all interconnected.
Yep.
So that is what my book is about. My book, Body Wisdom, A Guide to
Mm-hmm.
Connecting with Your Intuitive Self, is about working in partnership with all parts of yourself
Yeah.
and giving yourself the space to get curious
Yeah.
about your feelings and how they might want to be expressed.
Yes. Yes.
So, the basis of movement and art therapy, which is what I'm a practitioner of. And
Mhm.
thank you for that introduction, because it's how I have now come to churn my lived experience into how I
Mhm.
help and support women.
Right.
I came to know that, okay, for whatever reason, and we can all have our own experience of different life events and different traumatic events.
Yeah.
But my coping mechanism, that was what I knew at the time, was to keep myself busy and to disconnect. What I realized was that I was searching outside of myself for answers. So I was like, who can help me? What do I need? I was reading all the books, going to all these different healing sessions. And what I've come to know, and what I'm an advocate for, is that most of the time, and I'm all for people getting support, and I'm all for us
Mhm.
having our professional help, and then our
Right.
girlfriend tribe as well. But I didn't hold the belief that I had answers within myself, which is what I've come to know. And I was making decisions in my life that weren't aligned. And there were little messages and little whispers from my intuition and my body
Mhm.
signals that were telling me, take a break, you're burnt out, you need to step back from the work that you are doing. You need to actually listen to me when I'm signaling to you, hey, this is an unsafe situation. Your body is saying no, for example.
Right.
And so I started realizing that my intuition hadn't abandoned me. I had
Right.
abandoned my intuition. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was in starting to actually acknowledge, okay, I've got an intuition. She's been here all along. She's been signaling me, but I just
Mhm.
haven't listened.
Right.
And so for me, that listening process started with actually taking a pause throughout my days and checking in with my body and how I actually felt about something.
Mhm.
And I I know that this can be a really intimidating process, and a scary thought even for people to start to do. But what I advocate for is to make it really playful and to have these entry points where we're just, taking a moment just to put your hand on your heart and over your belly and like breathe and soften into the breath. Feel your body in the space of the chair, wherever you are. And okay, what sensations can I feel in the body? What feelings are present in the body? And what does my body need in this moment?
Right.
And so starting this dialogue where we're not having any interference from our outside world, but we're checking in with how we actually feel in this moment, and starting to pick up on the nuances of, oh, I actually feel a little bit of tension in my shoulder.
Mhm.
I feel a bit of contraction in my stomach.
Right.
And what does that mean for me? What could that be telling me right now about a situation I'm either in or thinking about? And learning ways to give space for that feeling, first and foremost, but then find creative ways to follow the impulses of your body and how it might want to move, to
Right.
give expression to that, but also release it. Because with somatic movement therapy, we hold this belief that our body carries all of the stories that we hold inside.
That is true.
And through changing the body, through changing through movement, we're also changing the psyche. So we're able to shift those emotional states
Yes.
and able to get to a point where we can regulate ourselves and find compassion for all different parts of ourselves and all of the different feelings that we're experiencing at any one moment.
Yes. I'm so like happy that you said all of this. Like I'm so happy like with the way that you put it. I think that a lot of people are so hard on themselves, and I'm telling you this based on experience because I used to be like that. I've always felt like I had no limit, and I'm not allowed to be sad. I am not allowed to just give up. I'm not allowed to be angry. I just need to keep it moving. I need to
Mm,
get things done. I used to be like that, and it took like some life experiences for me to finally like find myself and bring myself back, and to like be easy with myself and to connect with myself, to just be kind to myself. Because I sat down and asked myself, I was like, how is it so easy for me to be kind to other people but not myself? you know I was able to like give my all to people out there, but nothing to myself. And then I was getting burnt out, like
mhm.
drained. And it's like I'm pouring into people's cup and no one is pouring into my cup. I'm not pouring into my cup. And I just kept giving out, giving out, giving out. And I just had to take a step back.
Mm.
And to be honest, that's how I literally started my podcast. That was I literally like tell people that's like an expressive therapy for me. They don't I try to tell people that that's an expressive therapy for me. Before I started even making like video podcasts, it was audio. My friend was like, I can't believe you're doing podcasts. You don't even know how to talk to people. I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing it either, but I feel good after doing it. And I was like, that's a form of therapy session for me. So when I'm done talking to people, I feel better. Even if they don't
How
see my
beautiful.
face. Even if they don't see my face. So I'm so glad that, it's not just me. And, we can relate. And I just hope that other women are able to be easy on themselves. And that's part of my purpose to like, pass that message out to them. And another thing is a lot of people think, oh, they have to be an artist to be able to like be creative. But no, it doesn't really. I mean, personally for me, it doesn't really work that way. Maybe I have some artistic side in me because I can paint, draw, and all of that. But I don't think it's necessarily that. I don't think you have to be an artist to be able to pour like different acrylics on like a canvas, or write something down. And also like there's power in writing. I tell
Mhm.
people that when I have a poetry book that I wrote that I have on Amazon, and I was telling people like, I was going through it when I wrote that book. I was going through it, and I told people like the day I published that book, I felt healed. And I know when I tell them, I don't know if if they understand me, but I understand what I'm saying because it's my emotion. I know exactly how I feel or how I felt with writing that. That's like a whole therapy session right there with myself, and I try to pass that message. But do you agree with me that you don't necessarily have to be an artist? You don't necessarily have to be a good dancer to be able to like move your body, shake that energy out, express yourself, paint, whatever, right? What you think?
100%. I love all the things that you're putting down, babe. I I yeah, there's so many things to respond to in that. Beautiful. So I want to start by saying that, we can, when we're feeling these big emotions, we can feel like we're the only one that has ever felt them, right? And it can be
Hmm.
so isolating. But, you know, you and I have both experienced that we are not alone in these
Yes.
feelings.
Yes.
And the more that we are able to, you know, meet and confront those parts of ourselves and have the courage to share what we're experiencing, more people
Hmm.
recognize, oh, I'm not alone in what I experience.
Yes.
So, in my line of work as a movement and art therapist, I get both. So, I get people being like, oh no, like, I don't know how to dance. I'm not a dancer. Like, I can't, I've got two left feet. I get those comments. Um, And then I also get comments like, "Oh, no, I'm not an artist, I leave art up to the painters, and that's not for me." But as you've said, and what I encourage people all the time is that it's not about looking a certain way. It's not about the finished product of a piece of art. It is about how you feel and giving expression to that, giving yourself full permission to be in all of the feelings and express it in the way that it wants to come out. And yes, that does take a bit of courage and a bit of playfulness to tap into that creative side of ourselves. But it's
Hmm.
also about being open and curious as to what mediums work for you, So,
Exactly.
yeah, a blank canvas is going to look really intimidating. I still get quite intimidated by it. But again, in art therapy, it's not about, this finished product to look really beautiful at the end of the day. It's
Yes.
about playing with colors and lines and shapes and
Yes.
being open to the messages that we receive. So, part of it is in the process of, of painting and seeing what wants to come through, seeing what colors we're drawn to. But then
Hmm.
the other side of it is actually taking a step back from what we may have created, whether it's a drawing or whether it's, you know, um, working with clay or whatever it is, and being
Right.
like, oh, what do I actually see in this? What am I
Hmm.
drawn to when I've been moving my body? And then, in my sessions, we connect with our body first. Then I guide them through moving intuitively, following the impulses of their body, how it wants to move.
Hmm.
And maybe I'll have some, particular themed prompts that people can take or leave that are about, that story inside that's wanting to be
Right.
shared, that thing that they're moving through in that season of life. And I always end with inviting them to capture different colors, lines, and shapes on the paper.
Hmm.
And it's fascinating what comes through because when they're in that state where they're trusting and they're following their intuition and
Right.
giving expression to that emotion or that, that build up inside,
Hmm.
it's fascinating what comes out onto the page and what they have captured or what they can see. And they are the ones that then interpret what's come through. So
Right.
they make meaning of their experience through the visual as well.
Yeah.
And what's powerful there is that, you know, it's not about critiquing your own work and being like, "Oh, it doesn't look like how I wanted it to look." It's
Right.
it's actually about like, "Oh, there's this symbol there and I don't know what that bird means to me right now, but it's come through, and maybe that's about finding freedom and like finding my
Hmm.
own wings." Whatever
Right.
that interpretation is, it's my job to help guide them to see what's there and to make
Hmm.
meaning of it, but their interpretation comes from within themselves.
So, yeah.
So it's this beautiful process of connecting deeper with yourself
Hmm.
and finding symbology and resources within that you can then carry into your everyday. So that
Right.
bird that maybe came through on the piece of paper, maybe that's a symbol of them that they can excuse me, that they can hold on to and feel a sense of freedom with, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not about trying to get a perfect art. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's about how you feel at the end of, the whole session and all of that. So, I know with things like this, there's so many benefits. But for you, what would you say like the main benefits are when it comes to like, expressive therapy crew, what would you say are the main benefits?
Yeah, beautiful. So the main benefits that I have found are learning to be more compassionate with yourself,
Yeah.
loving all of the different parts of yourself that want to come up, and viewing what comes up for yourself in a non-judgmental framework.
Yes. Yeah.
So not being critiquing, but actually being like, okay, it's coming up for a reason, and you're fostering a relationship with yourself where you're working in partnership with your body. And
Hmm.
that that is worth its weight in gold, like to actually learn how to give yourself permission to feel, to
Hmm.
trust what you're feeling. And for women especially, learning how to read their body so that they
Yeah.
know what their no is and they
Yes.
know what their yes is, and they can
Yeah.
trust that.
Percent, yes. That makes so much sense. I think like over the years when it comes to like connecting with myself, which is something I was talking about like recently. I feel like the more you work on yourself, the higher your intuition becomes. And it may seem as if you are kind of like shouting people out, but it's not really that. It's just like your body, your mind, your intuition, your soul does not relate with this person and or with this situation, and you just don't want to put yourself there because why? Why do
Yes.
you want to put what you want to go through? When you've tasted so much inner peace, why do you want to go back to chaos? Uh,
Yes. Why would
so
you put
I
yourself through that again? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's one of the main benefit for me is to really, know what just don't want to deal with and not deal with it. You
Yeah.
know. So yeah, this has really been great. It is really, really been great. Is there any other things that you would like to, pass across to the listeners? Like, your work, your Instagram, your other platforms that you would like to connect with them? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I really hope that if anyone has listened and resonated with what we've been sharing today, that
Mhm.
they can get curious about what their body might be wanting to share with them, to
Yeah.
get curious about what their intuition is saying, and to foster that relationship with their
Yeah.
intuition. My business is called Intuitive Self,
Mhm.
intuitiveself.com.au. And yeah, if people resonate with my story and my work, they can jump on my Instagram, which is
Mhm.
intuitive self double underscore. They can find my book, Body Wisdom, A Guide to Connecting with Your Intuitive Self, on my website. The audio
Mhm.
version's also on Spotify. And they can book in a free discovery session. So this is something that I offer. It's a full hour where they can jump on a Zoom call with me, and
Mhm.
I can listen compassionately to what they're moving through in this season of
Right.
life, and
Mhm.
then see if I can give any guidance or any tips to ways that they can continue to cultivate that self love and connect deeper
Right.
with themselves.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And I also would like to say that I know most especially like when we're trying to find ourselves, it may seem like lonely, but I don't want anybody to feel like that out there. And that's one of the main reasons why I do this, just so you know, and that way they don't feel lonely.
Yes.
Most especially for people who just have to rely on something. They just have to rely on someone or something to keep it moving. So I just want people to out there to know that they're not alone. Just want to let them know that. And of course, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that we can do this again whenever time permits. But I really am grateful that you took your time because time is really important to me, and I really appreciate that, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me to share.
Of course, Ari. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and we will meet on the next episode. Have a good one and continue to take care of yourself. Bye bye now.